So over the past few years of me having played Fender guitars, I feel like in my mind I've started to put them into two separate categories. The first of which I like to call the mainstream category, which consists of the strats, the tellies, both of which I've owned and played on a regular basis for the past 5 years. But that second category, well, I like to call it the weirdo indie guitar category, and that consists of the Mustangs, the Jazzmasters, and of course I can't forget the Jaguars. And if you were to ask me specifically what confused me about those guitars, it was pretty much everything. It was more than just the sound, it was the overall vibe and the layout. I just didn't think that these would ever be something that I really wanted to get to know. But as time passed, things began to change, and over a number of years, I found this growing appreciation for the Jazzmaster. And specifically last year in December, I actually got one for the first time, and it started to feel like a literal trip. It's like all of that appreciation and growing fondness of this guitar finally concluded when I could actually touch one and really take the time to understand the rhythm circuit and feel how the neck was supposed to really feel in my hands, and ultimately just take the time to understand the general vibe of this guitar. And I've often wondered since then, if that could happen with the Jazzmaster, what exactly could happen with the Jaguar? So before we get started, we actually need to get a couple things straight. I know next to nothing about the Fender Jaguar. I don't know what it's supposed to sound like, and real talk, I don't even know the specifics on how it differs from the Jazzmaster. So friends, this is the Johnny Marr Jaguar, and to be completely honest, I am already very confused. I think this is a rhythm circuit. I think these are single coils, and up until a couple days ago when I found out on Google on accident, nothing to do with this, the name Johnny Marr meant absolutely nothing to me, so I think it's time we actually put this thing to work. First time recording, here goes nothing.
So I'm sitting here playing, finally starting to get familiar with this thing, but I knew if I was ever going to really get to know it, it was going to take more than just bedroom playing.
Welcome back to what?
Mike Cole's YouTube channel. Welcome back. I am Mike Cole.
I wanted to hear it through my amp at the proper volume with a real engineer, so I decided to call the best one that I know.
I'm going to show my friend Andrew an amp and a guitar.
When I was working at the guitar store, I mocked it. I mocked it for like years and years and years. You ready to see this guitar?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Do it.
Look at it next to this cabinet though.
Have you ever played a Jaguar before any Fender offsets?
Jazzmaster, which is not a Jaguar, so I don't actually think so. It's possible I have years ago, but this will be potentially the first. Oh, cool headstock.
The Johnny Marr signature, and we still don't know that much about Johnny Marr.
The amp sounds cool. It's a bit loud.
Yes, it is.
The volume is at 2. That's freaking awesome. Oh, that's lo-fi.
That's brilliant. How are we gonna mic this up?
We're gonna pick a microphone or two, and we're gonna point them at the cabinet.
Are you using ribbons?
I haven't thought too much about it just yet. We're not miking both speakers, we're just doing one. I'm leaving the chorus on, but if I blend in some extra mics to get the chorusy sound, we'll get them through these mics. So what's happening when we switch this one?
Okay. So here's what I just learned.
Is it combining these?
This is what I just learned.
So even after having brought this to my friends to just like jam and experiment with it, I realized that I had it partially right when it comes to the knobs, and I was a little bit confused. So I went to the man himself and I just watched Johnny Marr talk about it, and here's what I know. Basically, when it's in fourth position, the pickups are in series, and then it just goes to regular, neck, middle, humbucker. The interesting thing is this is a universal bright switch, but this is the bright switch only for when it's in series. It's a lot, and it definitely took me a second, but the big thing is that I had to figure out why this was even designed that way. And apparently the reason why this is even here is because Johnny was like, I don't want the naysayers to have anything today about it being too bassy when it's in series. So you put an extra like high pass. So I've gotten to the point where I think I'm starting to know all the controls pretty seamlessly, like with the knob quicker and quicker. And now I'm just going back over all the different riffs I love in history and being like, oh, that had a Jaguar, that had a Jaguar. Okay, now it's go time. Bro, Johnny Buckland was on some different stuff back in the day. Adam Hahn, one of the most underappreciated guitar players working. So I've been playing this guitar for a couple weeks now, and one of the things that I keep noticing over and over again is that I'm spending a lot of time actually learning different Jaguar riffs. Stuff from a lot of my favorite players who I was listening to while they were using Jags, even before I was a fan or had ever owned the guitar, but I love their playing and I love just their tone in general. But in a lot of ways, that's not necessarily enough for me because this isn't just any ordinary Jag. This is a Johnny Marr Jag. It has its own setup, its own knobs that are just a little bit different from your ordinary Jaguar. So in the same way, even though I'm learning the riffs from my favorite players, one of the things that I recognized is like, I had to start learning some Johnny Marr stuff. And that was a little bit harder than I thought. Nope. And it wasn't because he was just this crazy, unbelievably fast shredder. No, most of the parts that I was listening to, I was like, I've learned parts that are way faster than this. It's his actual picking technique and his right hand and some of the picking patterns that he was doing. They took me a while to figure out. And the more I listened, I was like, okay, I think I get why this Johnny Marr guy is so legendary. So at the end of the day, what did I learn? And I think the biggest takeaway here is just how different the Jaguar actually is from some of the other Fender offsets that I used to associate it with, like the Jazzmaster. I used to have these two big categories and they were all just weirdo indie guitars. But the more I play these different guitars, I'm like, they're completely different instruments. And it's due to the scale length, it's due to this different pickups, the Jaguar having single coils, and just a million other different factors that make the guitar so unique. And I think it's really cool to just see how much it's grown on me even in the past couple weeks, just noticing that it may have taken me a little bit longer to understand than it did the Jazzmaster, but simply because of all the versatility that comes specifically with the Johnny Marr one, I might say that I probably like the Jaguar more than I do the Jazzmaster for my personal playing. Simply put, it's just a guitar that can do a lot of different things. It's the same guitar that Nirvana and Kurt Cobain can use, as well as guys in modern days like the 1975 and Adam Hahn. And even speaking towards what I learned about like Johnny Marr, I think it's really cool to find some of those indie artists from the 80s who can really inspire you. And the Smiths are not at all a rabbit hole I thought I'd ever go down, even upon initially listening to them. But the more and more I figured out about this guitar, I wanted to know about who used it. I wanted to know about why they used it and their specific music and their tones. And in a lot of ways that made all the difference. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what you think. So please let me know. What do you think of Fender offsets? Have you played a Jaguar? What's your favorite one? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I've been thinking for a while what's next in my journey with the offsets after having played the Jazzmaster as well as the Wingman. Like, I wanted to know, like, where do I go from here? And the Jaguar was such a cool place. Like, the Jaguar was so completely different than most of the other guitars that I've played before, and that definitely had its challenges, but that definitely instituted a level of fun. If you want to know anything else about the Johnny Marr signature Jaguar, I got it from the homies at Sweetwater. The links are in the description. Make sure to check it out. It's one of the best ways to support the channel if that's something you want to do, or if you're just curious about any of the other gear that I or Andrew used in this video, make sure to check out those links. Also, thank you so much to all my patrons. There's some cool extra behind the scenes stuff that I did with Andrew on there. If you want to check it out and join the community, links are also in the description. Like and subscribe if you had a good time. Most importantly, like most important of all, have a fantastic night.